Hello and welcome everybody to today's News Tonight, the weeknight news show where we're joined by special guests and our lovely patrons to discuss the day's gaming news. I'm your host, Ash Paulson, and I'm joined today by my dear friends and GVG co-founders, Steve Bowling and Derek Bittner, as well as our very special guest, Broly. How's it going, everybody?
Good. Glad to be here.
We are glad to have you here.
Feeling good today. I was feeling kind of down yesterday because I went through the rigmarole of Best Buy and Walmart and missing Amazon and all that, and didn't get a PS5. I was like, well, I'm done. And then I just saw today, like, because I still had the notifications on from Wario64 about Best Buy again today. I'm like, all right, let's try it. And then didn't put much effort into it, and had trouble with freaking passwords and all that other stuff. I was like, well, I'm definitely not going to get this. And sure enough, February 2nd, I can actually pick up a PS5 and have one of my own.
That is pretty awesome.
It seems like it's getting slightly easier to get them. My best friend was able to get one in this new wave.
Slightly, because trust me, there's a lot of frustration out there from trying again and again and again. And Walmart especially, I saw like some evidence. They got like bots are hitting them hard, which explains why Best Buy does it their way. But Best Buy's way is also really frustrating because if a local store doesn't have it near you, you're not getting it either. So it's like just the whims of fate.
Right. Well, I'm just glad you were able to get one. Now we're all part of the PS5 gang. Hell yeah.
Yeah. And our
Broly, do you have a PS5 as well?
Yes, I do. I was able to get one on launch. So
hell yeah. Congrats. Nicely done.
What you been playing?
Yeah, no, I can't.
I've been playing. Well, we played Spider-Man, Morales one. Just been playing a lot of. Well, I played a lot of the Demon Souls as well because I'm a big fan of it too. So, and now I'm really excited for Resident Evil 8.
Heck yeah!
Yeah, I streamed the demo last night, and it was a lot of fun. Even though it's only like 30 minutes. It's a lot of fun, and it really shows off what the PS5 is capable of in terms of just how great the interiors look. The frame rate is just perfectly smooth, 60 FPS. It's a lot of fun despite being so short. It is definitely more of a visual showcase, though.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, before we jump into the news, we have some sponsored copy to read out. We one of our very, very generous sponsors is Straight-Lace, and they want us to talk about their game, The Sol Device. So Straight-Lace says, if you enjoy exploration, puzzle, or platformer games, then you might enjoy the Sol Device from Straight-Lace Studios. The Sol Device aims to combine the handheld device puzzle solving of Portal with 2D Metroidvania exploration as you create your own platforms to explore the world, collect upgrades, solve puzzles, and reach your ultimate destination. But there's a catch to your power, as each use of your device drains your slowly regenerating HP, so maintaining a balance of placement and patience is key. The game features over 200 rooms to explore, puzzles with multiple viable solutions, and 3 endings of increasing involvement. You can also go from chill to challenging with the post-game hard mode or the single chance of no death mode. You can also put on a hat. Well, sold. There you go. The Sol Device is available now on Steam, and Straight-Lace hopes you enjoy it if you choose to pick it up. So thank you for supporting us, Straight-Lace, and definitely go check out the Sol Device, everybody.
It sounds pretty cool, honestly.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah,
you can put on a hat. I mean, come on. And if there's a dog, I hope you can pet it.
Not talking about the gameplay mechanic of having to manage your health while solving puzzles. No, it's the hat. It's the hat.
Come on. No, this actually does sound really interesting, and over 200 rooms to explore. It sounds quite meaty as well. Like there's a lot of content here. So. I'm actually going to put it in my notes right now to check it out right after I am done.
Nice.
Cool. In the meantime, I realized we didn't actually put Resident Evil 8 in the topics, and we got Broly here, who's a huge Resident Evil fan. So I want to get your thoughts real quick on 8.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. I know the series kind of transitioned to when 7 came out to a first person. Following Ethan, and I love that game. That game was really, really good. The environment is what really captures the setting and tone of the game, and 8 does that really well, especially in the demo. I was blown away. Like I was really, excited for this game. Wasn't expecting, a whole lot from this demo, even though Capcom really delivers with their demos. They let people play it a lot and explore. And this demo, wasn't like too much on the jump scare, spooky stuff, but it really just showed the sounds and the like, just the textures, the lighting. The lighting is what really like amazed me so much about this game. It's also very, dark and you get to, just see all the details, the blood and the dismemberment of people and stuff. So I'm really excited for it. At first I was I'm not a big Ethan fan because, like I'm not like someone that's like, oh, it has to be Chris or Leon or Claire to sell the game. So I'm open for a protagonist, a new one. But the first one, he kind of just got beat up a lot. He just kind of seemed like he was really like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm gonna keep going anyways. And but I'm really excited for this one. I love that it has a lot of Resident Evil 4 vibes in this, and so I could really see it being a great game. And I was super excited for it in May.
I noticed that Ethan's whole shtick seems to be getting the crap beat out of him by women. Like that seems to be his most enduring trait. Like there's a few guys thrown in there to mix it up, but it always seems to be the women that give him the most trouble. And now we got Giant Woman apparently hunting him down. I've not played the demo. I've not looked at the demo. The only thing I've seen is that the tall lady can turn her hand into like Freddy Krueger, like long knives and like
like Lady Deathstrike style. It's pretty messed up.
Yeah.
And I won't spoil anything for you, Derek, then, because there are some good jump scares to be had for sure. But I'm curious if this is going to be the kind of thing where it's not quite as, I don't think there has been nearly as many Easter eggs as there are in something like PT. But I wonder if this is something where people are going to discover maybe there's an alternate demo ending, or maybe there's some little Easter egg that players who are just hitting the critical path, which seems to be very short, have missed. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye on that. And I'm curious to see if there's anything else to discover in this very small demo.
I would be surprised if there was nothing, but I think it's going to be found by data miners before players, if that makes sense.
That's probably true.
That's just what happens these days. Because I think even in PT, like data miners ended up finding more stuff and using that to figure out problems that were previously unsolved. So I bet there's something extra hiding in the data of this demo. But also, have people even figured out how to data mine PS5 stuff yet? I genuinely don't know. I'm sure
it's probably on the way. I don't know for sure, but it has to be on the way. It was you actually mentioned Resident Evil 4. There was a rumor that went out today, or a report, I guess. Forgot to put this down in the news topics, but just briefly touch on it here, where apparently I think it was from VGC that reported on it. Resident Evil 4 development has been passed from M2, who developed Resident Evil 3, to Studio One or something like that within Capcom. Basically the ones who handled, I think, Resident Evil 2. So it was being developed by Resident Evil 3's developers, and now it's apparently being handled by Resident Evil 2's developers, because Resident Evil 4 by M2 was going to be basically a one-for-one remake, and the Resident Evil 2 developers wants to have some changes in it. So there's some flip-flopping going on there, and it seems I don't know, interesting. It's hard for me to say. I need to see it. Whoever's buying, I need to see it in order to really say whether it's going to work or not, because 4 is such a huge entry in the series.
I'm pretty I mean, 4 was really good. It was really long. When the first time I played it was a really long game compared to the other games. The other games were just, you got your puzzles and then you continue on. And this one was more, you had so many enemies to fight and you had loots now instead of, finding it. I mean, they still had puzzles, but I think the environment was really good. And I can really see a lot of that from 8, transitioning to 4. That's what I feel the most, is that 8's kind of like the precursor to whatever they're going to do to 4. And if the remake 2 devs are going to be on it, then I'm pretty excited, because they nailed it out of the park with remake 2. So I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah. I can see why Capcom would have made this internal development decision for remake, because obviously Resident Evil 4 is one of the most celebrated games of all time, across genres, across platforms. And 3, they didn't get it right with 3, at least, according to many people I've talked to. I haven't played 3 remake myself, but I really enjoyed 2 remakes. So I can see why they're being very careful with this. They have to strike a very fine line between being faithful to the original and carefully introducing new elements to 4, because you don't want to mess up a really good thing, right? So it's going to be a very fine line to walk, but I have faith they can do it, especially given how great 2 Remake turned out to be, in my opinion.
So I don't like 2 Remake, but
right,
I don't like it because it's faithful to Resident Evil 2, and I don't like Resident Evil 2. So that kind of gives me, you know, the fact that those same folks are helming Resident Evil 4 gives me faith that they'll change some things, but it'll likely still feel like Resident Evil 4. And that's a good thing to me because I do love Resident Evil 4. So if they can overhaul a game, make it look much better, make it control better, because there's no mistake that RE2 Remake controls better than RE2. Then I'm all for it, because like I said, all the things that I didn't like about Resident Evil 2 Remake were the same things I didn't like about Resident Evil 2. So that's fine.
Sure. That makes sense.
Yeah, so I'm optimistic about this still.
Also, Azran127, our resident, evil pun master, says they think the demo was made in good taste.
I saw that.
So
Azran, you have been missed.
You really good stuff, man.
But also that was like the pun equivalent of like slapping someone across the face with the glove. You just challenged the master, Ash.
Yeah, you really did.
I know that's true. By saying the whole Resident Evil thing. I mean, I am known, at least in my own circle, for being the pun guy. It drives my wife crazy. I always do wordplay.
Amy loves puns, so I'm always in good company.
I think for me, it's like Basola. I think she likes them. She just doesn't like to admit. I think she gets enjoyment out of them, but she just doesn't like to openly admit it.
I feel like Ash just encourages you more. It just encourages me further into his mouth. We're just gonna find a tweet from him tonight that says "sleeping on the couch tonight." ...
Oh man, good stuff. Well, with that, should we go ahead and jump into our first news topic?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Cool, let's get that up on screen. And it has recently been revealed by the Super Mario UK Twitter account that Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is going to feature 4-player co-op in the Captain Toad levels. And this, of course, the original 3D World is where Captain Toad, that style of gameplay originated. So it's cool that we're getting to play these levels again with the benefit of 4-player co-op. I don't know how much that will actually change things. They're already pretty short levels, but it's always nice to have more features and more options than less, right? So this is cool to see.
Yeah. I like Captain Toad. I think it's neat. I'm with you in that I don't know what 4 players adds to it. Hopefully like the levels have been slightly modified to make it work for 4 players, because I mean, looking back on them, and I don't have the greatest memory of them, I just don't, like, I never thought, man, I need 3 buddies for this. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I looking at this gameplay clip, 2 things stand out to me most. One, I like how all the Toads have their existing personalities. That's fun. Glass is Blue Toad. That's cool. But also concerned the fact that you don't rotate the camera at all. And it shows that player 1 has control of the camera based on those icons, but it's still a little like, that could be a lot of like hassle. Like everybody's trying to do their own thing and make progress. But a lot of the times it's almost like a linear path. So I feel like you're just going to get in each other's way a lot. So I like that you can all play, but nothing about this clip says that it's been adjusted to accommodate the 4 players. So I mean, it might fit in with 3D World pretty well, where you're just like kind of griefing each other anyway. So the thing is probably just going to come over here.
Yeah, I'm not sure this actually adds anything that was missing in the first place. It just seems like it's filling a hole that never really existed. But again, there's nothing wrong with it either. So it's completely optional. It's there if you want it. Probably good for kids, like families of kids who are playing together. I would imagine that's pretty good. Although if only one of them has control over the camera, maybe not. So yeah, but again, there's nothing offensive about this. It's cool that it's there, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, shall we move on to our next story?
Sure.
All right, let's get that up on screen. And this comes by way of IGN. And Peter Moore, formerly of Xbox and EA, has revealed he is rejoining the game industry, taking a position at Unity. And I'll just go ahead and read out his tweet here. He says, hardly the biggest news of the day, but I'm delighted to announce that I've joined the incredibly talented team at Unity 3D as Senior Vice President and General Manager of Sports and Live Entertainment. Delighted to be reunited with so many industry friends as we work on some really cool stuff. More to come. So yeah, those of you who know Peter Moore and his personality probably know that he got his start at SEGA during the Dreamcast days, and he was their president of SEGA of America back in the day. And then he went to Microsoft in the early 2000s to work on the OG Xbox. And IGN reminds me of a great moment where he famously revealed what apparently was a tattoo of the Halo 2 logo and release date at E3 2004. I don't know if we ever found out if that was a permanent tattoo. It is real. Okay.
It's real.
That's cool. That just makes it even better.
I mean, yeah. There's worse games to get a tattoo of on you.
They did have the Microsoft Zune guy who tattooed the logo on his arm. And fun fact, renamed himself Microsoft Zune, which is wow.
I hope he got paid a lot.
He did it for free. Broly, I'm going to throw this to you, man. Do you have any feelings either way on Peter Moore?
I mean, not really. I mean, I've heard of him. Obviously, I know that he done a lot to like the sports gaming. And I used to be a big sports game player back in the day, but not so much anymore. I mean, I do see the community and tournaments and stuff like that. So I do hope it can be improved. I know a lot of people lately have not been real big fans of the sporting games, especially like the Maddens and FIFAs of these last few years. So I'm hoping it can improve it and make it more enjoyable. I know a lot of people have problems with their loot box, or I don't think they call it like Ultimate Team, where they kind of like open packs to get players and stuff like that. And so I don't know. I hope it becomes something enjoyable for more people. I would love to get into it. It's just kind of weird spot right now, but hopefully he does really well.
It's a bit of, he has a storied career, being for SEGA for Dreamcast. It's funny to see him kind of work on, sad to say, some of the more or less successful days of a lot of these companies, like trying to hang on to SEGA with the Dreamcast. That didn't work. Trying to help Microsoft with the Xbox, which, hey, it had a good foot in the door, but 360 is where they really came into their own. And then, EA, which I don't know how, was there a lot of good changes around from his time? Basically his 10 years with EA heading up the sports division. I don't know. I didn't really hear any different. But
the thing I find interesting about Peter Moore is he's one of those rare executives that has fans. And I don't understand. I don't understand the practice of executives having fans. I don't get that. Hey, you're rich. Good job. Go you.
He has a personality, though, Steve. I think that's more. It's oh wow, these guys have a personality.
Okay, I get.
He got a tattoo.
So. I get Reggie. Okay, I totally get Reggie. I was there at the beginning of the Reggie hype. I remember people in the IGN vestibule saying that Reggie's footsteps filled with fresh flowers. I remember that. But I never understood, truly never understood the hype around Peter Moore. At least Reggie was this big linebacker ass, intimidating dude that came out and his first words were I'm gonna kick ass. I get that. I get that Reggie made a great first impression. But Peter Moore was just I don't know, the gaming equivalent of the Pringles guy. He was inoffensive, but he didn't really do anything except for the really weird Halo tattoo that I can remember. He joined SEGA right as they were getting out of the hardware business, then jumped to Xbox and was there before they got popular. And then I feel EA Sports was never not going to be successful. They had the exclusive license to the NFL. And people in America love football, so those games were going to sell no matter what you do. I have a hard time imagining a scenario where Madden doesn't sell and EA still has exclusive NFL rights.
Right. I mean, I see what you're saying. I personally have always found Peter Moore to be a pretty affable guy. I think that's kind of, I don't know, he just seems kind of
He's nice,
fun and nice and approachable. I'm not the biggest fan of his either, but I think I can see the appeal.
I mean,
It's definitely like people know the name Bobby Kotick. I don't think you're going to find a fan of Bobby Kotick.
Right. My point is, he seems to me like a Doug Bowser, if you will. Like, Doug Bowser is not a bad guy, but he's not exciting. Like, I don't go like, man, I need to see what Doug Bowser's tweeting about today. Like,
yeah. I mean, you know, although I guess when you're being stood up next to people like Reggie and especially Iwata, it's very difficult for, you know, to kind of reach that level of
but I'd say even Bill Trinan has a bit more.
Bill Trinan also, I would say that too.
Oh yeah, I would definitely, in terms of interesting Nintendo personalities, Trinan is definitely a cut above Doug Bowser for me. Just seems more, for lack of a better term, like human. Like there's something about the big like gaming exec personalities that I personally am a fan of, that they feel approachable and real, as not, even though, you know, all their statements are vetted by the same amount of corporate lawyers as every other executive. But I'm just saying there's something about the way they carry themselves that makes them feel like you want to follow them. I don't know what it is, but it works.
Right. And you know, I don't really see how this is, you know, unless you're really into Unity. Maybe this is exciting if you are, but I agree that I don't know that Peter Moore has the history of having done really crazy, incredible things that are cause enough to, or that's cause enough to get people to be excited about this. Maybe he does. I mean, I wish nothing but success for the guy. And I think it's also worth mentioning that maybe he did leave Microsoft prior to their explosive growth with the Xbox 360. But it should also be mentioned that the Xbox 360 would not have ever been a thing without the OG Xbox.
Oh yeah, that was ballsy to just get into the industry in the first place. So
yeah, to
pull it off and not like die immediately like the 3DO or name
the
Ouya. How many systems. Yeah. Ouya.
No.
So wish him all the best. I hope this works out for him, and I hope this you know, results in positive things for everybody involved.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, speaking of positive growth and positive change, let's go ahead and get our next story up on screen. And this is pretty wild. GameStop, man, only 9 months ago, GameStop's fortunes were not looking so hot. And
they still
just
aren't.
a short time. Sorry.
Never mind. I have a lot to say on this one. So
no,
please
I think we all probably do.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
So essentially, GameStop's stock has surged 1,500% in 9 months, causing some you know, explosive short-term growth. And we'll see where things go from here. But Steve, I'm going to kick this over to you because clearly you're just dying to talk about this.
Yeah. So my brother took part in this. I found out very recently. So
wow.
I had him give me like a deep explainer on this. He used to work for GameStop up until I want to say maybe 6 months ago. And so he jumped on this. He knew what was going on, I guess. And so GameStop stocks like 6 months ago or 9 months ago, whatever, they were down at like $3, real low. And as I understand, because I've read a number of articles about this, because when your brother calls you and tells you he pulled a 6-figure sum out of GameStop and that you missed the boat, you get a very deep need to research this situation.
Yeah.
And so I looked into it, and what had apparently happened was, you know, GameStop has not been in great shape. We all know that. They closed like 1,000 stores or something nationwide last year. And because of that, their stock took a nosedive, and apparently all of this growth is speculative in a way. So people in stock traders had decided to do short sells on GameStop, meaning that they were borrowing stock from people who owned it and selling that borrowed stock, which apparently is a thing you're just allowed to do.
I've never understood stocks. They are so weird.
It's basically legal gambling is how I feel about it. But anyway, they sold these stocks they didn't own, and with the assumption that they were selling them for a higher price than what they'd be worth in a couple of months. Well, apparently this subreddit, full of like the worst people, like the subreddit bills itself as if 4chan got a Bloomberg terminal. And the posts you see on that subreddit are definitely reflect those values. And they bought up all the stock that was out there. So these investors cannot make good on what they borrowed. they have to buy the stock back from these Redditors that are holding it. And because now the supply has vastly outstripped the demand, these Redditors are able to sell this stock back at insane markups. It's basically the PS5 of the stock market. Like, there's not enough, and people want it because they have a need for it. Yeah, and Reddit is actively scalping GameStop itself back to Wall Street, which is the best in a weird kind of way. But a lot of these folks have gotten insanely rich doing this. Like, I saw somebody post that they've made $7 million doing this. I'm really sad I didn't find my way in on this, because I'll tell you what, I feel really bad when someone scalps a PS5. I don't know how bad I feel about people scalping GameStop the corporation. I don't think I feel bad about it at all.
I know how bad I feel about it, and that's not at all. I mean, yeah, it's hard to feel too much sympathy for GameStop, given their history, the industry of, and we all know how horrifically, awfully GameStop, the low-level GameStop employees are mistreated. How they have to push pre-orders and push bundles and stuff. And, you see that. I mean, it's so bad that I just actively avoid going to GameStop because, first of all, I don't want to give them my money. But second of all, I don't want to be harassed by not harassed. I want to make that clear. They're not harassing me because they're jerks. They're harassing me to add all the stuff I don't want because they'll lose their jobs if they don't. Yeah. And I don't want to be part of that. And
working in retail, they will tell you to say stupid stuff. You're like, I don't want to bug people about this because I know they don't care.
Exactly.
But they make you do it.
But they make you do it. And they have very, very strict quotas to meet. And, they're constantly, as far as I've heard anyway, living in fear of losing their jobs if they don't meet certain quotas. And I just don't want to be part of that. And so I don't feel bad for GameStop at all. How
are you feeling, Broly?
Yeah. How are you feeling about this?
I mean, I totally agree with you guys. I mean, the workers are always pushed to do these kind of things. Sell their game passes and these pre-orders and stuff like that. So I understand. I mean, it's just terrible, especially with COVID going around. They don't want to lose their jobs, so it's really hard for them to put themselves out there when people are just there to look at something specific or ask a question and then leave. So I totally understand. I mean, I'm not a big fan of them. Hopefully we'll see where it comes down to, but I think it's important to know that these guys do work and especially under extreme pressures, and I feel bad for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm looking a little bit more at this Ars Technica article, and it's really fascinating because it's also along with the stuff that Steve mentioned, it's also kind of built up because of a cult of personality. Because back in August, investor Ryan Cohen bought into roughly 10% ownership stake of the retailer, and he's best known as the founder of the pet food superstore Chewy.com, which then sold to PetSmart for $3.35 billion in 2017. And since that sale, Cohen has tended to invest his billions in big safe stocks like Apple and Wells Fargo. So the fact that he took a risk on GameStop was like, what does he know that we don't? And from everything I've understand, the stock market is very jumpy. So any kind of wind blowing in a certain direction will immediately get other people jumping on that bad bandwagon to see if it could work out. And then the fact that he had sort of a vision of what GameStop could do apparently bolstered that idea, because he said GameStop's challenges stem from internal intransigence and an unwillingness to rapidly embrace the digital economy. So he said the company has to promptly pivot from a brick and mortar mindset to a technology driven vision. If GameStop takes the practical steps to cut its excessive real estate costs and hire the right talent, it will have the resources to begin building a powerful e-commerce platform that provides competitive pricing, broad gaming selection, fast shipping, and a truly high-touch experience that excites and delights customers. Which all sounds like really nice, big, bold words, but what the hell does it mean? Does it actually mean anything? And I can have a vision of that, like, oh, okay, it's like Amazon, GameStop, but GameStop actually goes out of their way to get some of these older titles that people don't have trouble with, and maybe offer it at a fair price or something to that degree, and get built up that way. But that's very tough, very expensive and, very niche. So I don't know if there's actually a way for this to make this happen, because GameStop's definitely been resisting digital because all their profits were from used game sales.
Right.
Yeah.
It seems to be. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I think that the first thing they need to do is cut down how many GameStops are in per city. There's like 10 in like 5-mile radius. There shouldn't be that many, especially when they're competing with each other. When there's like one Best Buy and obviously Amazon's online. So I think if they just cut down on a lot of the buildings that they have and cut down on a lot of shops, I mean, it's awful for employees, but it's better for them because you don't need 10 GameStops, in one city. You just need, here and there. But I definitely could see it happening like that. I mean, they do have the used games. They do have good deals and trade-in deals and stuff like that. So they definitely can, use that to help themselves up, especially against the competition. Because the competition, we sell games, but we're not really specifically for games. And GameStop is. So they need to focus more on what they do and use that instead of just sticking to the old ways, because the old ways is not going to work anymore. So they gotta do new stuff.
Right.
One of the things I want to point out, because XQ Jonas said it earlier in the chat, is not liking the company doesn't necessarily equate to not liking the stores themselves. Like, I actually like the store down right around the corner from my house,
and I have no trouble with that.
Yeah, I think GameStop has had, at least in my area, has done a good job of hiring people that know what the hell they're talking about, understand games. Like, I will admit, like, I go there and I often find myself like talking with the cashier just about random stuff, because one, it's COVID and I barely ever see people. Like, if I have to run in real quick, I find myself like just conversing, because I'm like, hey, another person like that's different from the people in my house. But the other part of that is that it doesn't excuse the behavior of the company, which is unfortunate, because a lot of them are treated like crap. I've worked at GameStop. I know, and I'm surprised we've made it this far, Broly, without mentioning this. Your brother, Vash, one of our patrons in the chat, mentioned that he used to work for GameStop as well.
Yes, he used to work at GameStop,
Yeah, he didn't seem to be a huge fan either. So...
Nobody I talked to that used to work at GameStop enjoys GameStop. The only thing I heard that was nice for an old friend that worked at GameStop for a while is that when they got games in, they were allowed. I don't know if this is still a policy, but employees could open up new copies and take them home to play for a little while, and then bring them back, and they'd be sold kind of still as new, just with the case open. You just had to treat it very well. So it just made it like a little like. Once I feel safe for the customer at the end, but it's also like, well, that's kind of a nice perk that you get to play these games. So it's a kind of a double-edged sword of very, very odd policies. But
yep, that was, I can attest to that. When I worked there, that was but I worked there like in the Wii days. But when I worked there, that was definitely a thing you could do.
Vash is actually in the chat right now. It says it sucked because when I worked at GameStop, I had the intel. I kept up with what was coming out, knew what people wanted. All that didn't matter to the manager. Just pre-orders and Game Informer. And then to clarify what I was talking about, you could rent new games, but managers and keys got first dibs. So usually normal staff wouldn't, at least at my store. So a bit more of an insider into that, and it's such a tricky thing because one, this just sort of cult of personality made this a big thing. I don't think this is all of a sudden saving GameStop because nothing's fundamentally changed about GameStop. Even the changes presented is not really going to save GameStop because now all of a sudden they're competing with the digital storefront of Amazon and every other store out there.
And GameStop's online strategy is the worst among big retailers that do video games. Like, they don't do free shipping. Like, I think at all, which is insane. I don't think they do. Like, I'm buying a game that weighs what, like a couple ounces, if that, and you won't ship it for free. It costs $60. Now it costs $70 if we're talking next gen. Give me the $1 like for shipping the game.
I also used to work at GameStop back in the day. Not for very long, so I don't have any crazy stories about corporate mistreating me or other people, but it wasn't a positive experience. And you could tell even for the short time that I worked there, that, you know, we were throwing the scraps. Like the people I worked with, as well as myself, we didn't even get 20 minutes for lunch from our managers frequently. And you know, and we worked in a mall, so just getting to and from lunch just to pick up anything with other people everywhere was tough, and it was not a good glamorous job. And you were absolutely expected to push pre-orders and things that you knew people didn't want to care about over just selling the games people want, you know, and push used and pushed. It was not a good experience. Also, I hadn't heard about this, but Jared Edinger in the chat mentioned there was a thing last year where corporate told the employees to do TikTok dances to get extra work hours. I hadn't heard about that.
I mean, something like that. Yeah, where like the winner would get free work, or they'll be able to work an extra week.
That's so gross.
Yeah,
it's pretty nasty.
Oh man, that's so gross. Before we move on to the next story, I just want to say welcome to Javier Fuentes, who said hello, fellow GVG patrons. That's not a name I've seen in the chat very much, so I just wanted to say welcome and thank you for joining us live. With that said, shall we? I'm excited about this next one, Broly. I can't wait to get your take on this.
Same.
This is all you, yeah.
All right.
Well, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next story then. So a South Korean ratings board has listed SNK versus Capcom Match of the Millennium for Switch, which is a possible sign that Capcom and SNK are finally willing to work together again. And Broly, given your incredible pedigree, obviously, I want to go straight to you with this story. How are you feeling about this?
Wow, that's pretty exciting, I guess. You know, I mean, yes, Capcom versus SNK, CVS, and CVS 2, obviously, you know, one of the big major milestone games or cornerstones of the fighting game community. Everyone loves that game. Everyone still gets hyped up and always wonders where's CVS 3 coming. I definitely see this happening just because Capcom likes to put everything on the Switch nowadays. You know, they got all their Devil May Cry series and they got the Resident Evil series and Mega Man, so why not? I don't know how it's gonna be. You know, I know Street Fighter 6 is on the way and everybody wants Darkstalkers, and so and I know KOF is already coming out, SNK is already coming out with a new KOF, so it's kind of weird because you know there's titles coming that we know or that are being developed, and so for them to, you know, start thinking about CVS, I'm hoping for a new one. I'm hoping, but who knows? I mean, CVS 2, Capcom vs. SNK is always a good one, and there's so many characters like. It's a dream now. You could put, you know, Phoenix Wright versus whatever, right? Or, you know, so there's so many people that can be in it nowadays, which is very exciting. I just hope it's not, you know, in the same boat as, you know, Marvel Infinite, like they did.
Well, at least we don't have Disney messing with things in that case.
Yeah. No, I love what this could possibly indicate. I used to get together with friends every weekend, every Saturday night during my college days, and we would have a CVS 2 tournament. I would always lose. I don't think I even ever made it to the finals once, but it didn't matter. It was so fun, and we just had so much fun playing the game. And to my mind, I mean, I like fighting games, and I've played quite a few of them, but I'm obviously not like a hardcore fan who knows everything about them. But I have never played a game since CVS 2 that quite scratches that same specific itch that CVS 2 does in the way it feels to play. And I really hope this leads to something more. But with SNK and Capcom teaming up again, I think there's massive potential here.
CVS 2 for me is special. Well, the CVS series is special because it is the only crossover game that feels like... I don't know, that feels like a real crossover, if that makes sense. Like Marvel vs. Capcom or any of the you know, X-Men versus Street Fighter or any of the games that preceded it, nobody controlled the way you expected them to. The Street Fighter characters all had to be buffed up to, like, you know, compete with the X-Men or whoever. So Ryu's Shinku Hadouken becomes like a Kamehameha-sized blast, you know. Everybody gets these absurd power-ups, which is cool, but it doesn't feel like Street Fighter. It feels like its own thing. Whereas Capcom versus SNK feels like, you know, you've got the Capcom side and it controls exactly how you'd expect, and you got the SNK side and it controls exactly how you'd expect. So it truly feels like a mashup of two fighting games coming together, you know, and just working in harmony somehow, despite, you know, SNK and Capcom having some different design philosophies around fighting games, but they mesh so well together. And I have been dying for a CVS3 for a long time now. And I guess, you know, this news is, like you said, Ash, it's not necessarily exciting because of what it is on its face. It's exciting because it means that SNK and Capcom had to talk to make this happen, and that those talks were successful. So hopefully that means that, you know, the same is true in reverse, and we can get at least ports of Capcom versus SNK 1 and 2 on something modern, and we can play these games again. You know, it not barring a full sequel, which would be the dream.
Right.
I have not played any of the Capcom versus SNK games, mainly because I didn't really know much about SNK at the time. Plus, I don't really play a lot of fighters. I did pick up Marvel versus Capcom 3 and enjoyed the hell out of that. But now that I have more of a familiarity with SNK's lineup, I'm way more interested in this. And I haven't picked up a fighting game in a while. But this might be a good one to get to, because you know, now I have a bit more fighting game, you know, experience under my belt. I can maybe get into it a little bit more. Granted, my experience is still more along the lines of like Blaze Blue and Dragon Ball Fighters.
Great games.
Nothing too, which are very different. I did play a bit of Street Fighter 4, and you know, again, Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So I can hold my own, but every time I went online, I was like, well, I'm getting destroyed. That's usually where my interest died. Like, I am all about the single player. If you can keep me interested in the single player aspect of a game, I'm usually pretty good, because I don't normally have friends that I can play these games with. So I go online and I'm just like, well, time to get my butt kicked, and it's just not worth playing for me.
Yeah.
That's where NetherRealm excels, is the single player experience. They really excel at that with games like Mortal Kombat 11 and 10 and 9 and you know, Injustice. So definitely, I think those are the where to go for this robust single player experiences. Getting back to CVS, I think obviously the dream for all of us would be to get the Dreamcast ports of CVS 1 and 2 on the Switch. I think that would be in all modern platforms, not just the Switch even. But I do want to throw out a little love to a not very frequently mentioned game that maybe wasn't the best, but I liked it in its own way, and that's SVC Chaos, which was only in arcades and on Neo Geo.
That's not true.
It was a bit janky, but it's also still the only game to have the Mega Man Zero version of Zero as a playable character.
It was actually
awesome.
He was so fun to play as, and that was one of the few. Sorry, what'd you say?
He was pretty broken, from what I remember.
He was quite broken.
He was pretty broken, yeah.
Yeah, but that was one of the few games one of the few non-Smash fighting games I really dug in and learned, because I was really competitive with my best friend at the time. And so I would play Zero and he would play, I can't remember which character, but another character. And we just learned the mechanics and got really deep into it, despite the game itself maybe not being the best.
I do have to point out, though, that SVC Chaos was available on the OG Xbox.
Oh,
I had it for that. Yeah. And it is absolutely like a janky, kind of broken fighting game, but in the best possible way. It's really fun. Like I love that game. And I love seeing SNK, because at the time they were really pushing the envelope with 2D sprite-based art. I loved seeing their takes on Capcom characters, and they were all universally great. Like I still love that game. I should. It's not even expensive on Xbox. I should go pick that up again. I don't know what happened to my copy.
I mean, is it probably playable on Series X? So there you go.
That's a good question. The back compat list for original Xbox games on Series X is really small. So I'm gonna wager not, but
I thought it kind of opened up, but I didn't realize. I remember sorry, stumbling. It's really funny to me because you're talking about the sprite quality of SNK, and meanwhile I was thinking to Darkstalkers, where Morgan kept showing up in crossovers and other games, and they never updated her sprite. It was always the same old Darkstalker sprite, which apparently looks awful.
Derek, Vash does point out in the chat that Broly does train people in fighting games. So if you ever need help, if you ever want to undergo some training,
I can verify he is
being
quite
on your
good.
friends, and start
boy.
friends. Who to talk to now.
Yeah.
Do you offer any training in Smash, Broly?
I have actually. I've actually trained an 11-year-old.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, his dad came up to me, well, like online, and he's like, "Hey, do you do Smash? Because my son doesn't have anyone to play and wants to learn." And so I was like, "Yeah, okay, that'll be pretty cool." And so I tried, and we actually trained for about 3 months. And I had told him before that I was like, my specialty is more Street Fighter. I know Smash. I play Smash Ultimate, but my teaching can only go for so far. And so after 3 months, he kept wanting to go, and I had to I felt bad, but I had to tell his dad. I was like, I've taught him everything I know. Like he's already good. Like he's actually got good. And so I told him I think I don't want to be taking your money and just playing your son. Like I could do that.
No, that's very honorable of you.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah. So he said, yeah, he understood. Now at first he was like, okay, now teach me Smash. But then I didn't know what happened to him. But now he wants me to teach his other son or his the son's brother how to play Street Fighter. So hopefully that works.
Okay. Fighting game family, nice.
Yeah, it's pretty it's very nerve-wracking to teach a younger generation. I'm usually teaching 30-year-olds and 20-year-olds how to play. And now I'm teaching 11 and 12-year-olds. I'm like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be strict or not really strict, right? But if he's doing bad, should I be pointing it out? But I mean, I kind of learned along the way, but it was definitely nerve-wracking teaching because I was like, I don't, because they basically got me to train him for a tournament. And so I was like, oh my God, please do not go 0-2. I do not want to feel like I've wasted this man's money and stuff. And actually, he made it pretty far. He went almost to the end of his pool. So
wow,
I was like, okay, I'm really good. Okay, I was sighing relief right there. But yeah, that's really it was a great humbling experience.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty good.
Well, this 30-something-year-old may be reaching out to you at some point because I'm pretty good at Smash. I do okay in tournaments, but I'm always looking to take my game to the next level, and I could certainly use some training. So. I may be reaching out to you.
You're already killing me, Ash. I don't need any.
Yeah, if anyone in GVG needs training in Smash, it's this guy. I am terrible at Smash.
Yeah. I do want to point out that Charlie Bird and Michael McCaw in the chat reminded me that the Mega Man Zero version of Zero was also in an Onimusha fighting game along with Mega Man.exe, and I had completely forgotten about that. So thank you for that reminder.
So many Mega mentions going on.
Yeah.
I know, right? I love it. All right. Well, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to this next story, which is I got some thoughts on this, and I think we all probably
do. These next two are definitely some thought-related stories.
So, unbelievably, Microsoft has decided that it is a very good idea during a pandemic to double the price of Xbox Live Gold to $120 per year, or more specifically, $60 for 6 months of gold. And obviously this is a push to get people into Game Pass Ultimate, and I get that. But man, double the price like that suddenly, and when PlayStation's doing no such thing, this just feels so scummy since people just dropped hundreds of dollars on new Xbox Series X consoles. And it feels so gross to me. But what do you how you guys feeling about this?
Not so good.
Yeah,
I've never owned an Xbox, so I really wasn't paying attention to this whole thing. But I started seeing the anger rise up, and I looked more into it. And it's like, oh, that's a big increase. Things ours a bit too, but maybe just not as high.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see Microsoft is really banking on Game Pass being the thing. So they're trying to push everyone away from gold with this increase, but it's such a bad way of doing it. You're already in a losing fight right now. We're waiting for you to come out with games. Like I keep wanting to get an Xbox Series X, and then I'm always reminded, no, don't get it. Wait till Halo, and I'm like, okay, because there's nothing really worth getting right now. So why would I want to do that? I'm stuck on my, Xbox One. And now it's like, you're going to make me pay more just to play online, with gold and stuff. It's like, I saw it and I was just like, and I'm a big, Xbox fanboy and stuff. So I like it. I know, we lost the last console war, but still, it's just not especially when the pandemic's going on. Like, there's no real reason. I don't understand the reasoning. Like, if you want people to get off of Xbox Gold, then just find a way to merge the two, or cancel that and get people to do Game Pass, because Game Pass is great and I love Game Pass, but
so I'm gonna sound like a bit of an apologist here, but there's a reason. I promise. Right. Okay, so if you look right, like, and I'm not gonna pretend I know the breakout of how this works, but they only increase the price on the 1 and the 3 month sub. Like, if you're going year to year, like paying the $60, they didn't up the price on that at all. But that also defies logic. Like, if a year is still $60, how is a month now $11? I mean, that doesn't make a ton. Like, at least previously, the tiers kind of sort of made sense. Like, you got a very minuscule discount for buying a year at a time. It was like 5 or 10%, and now it's 50%, which seems like very bizarre. Like, so I think people are kind of incorrectly stating that this is only designed to you know what, hold on, I'm reading this wrong. I'm totally reading this wrong. No, I take it back.
I was like, wait a minute.
So I saw Wario's tweet and I was like, I just saw the top one said 59 and I was like, oh, that must be a year. Well, Microsoft, I'm sorry, I tried.
It's 6 months.
There's no excuse.
6 months.
That being said, I'm still holding on to like 15 years of or 12 years of Game Pass Ultimate plus Xbox Live.
Oh yeah,
now seems like a great time to give those away.
Yeah, and I guess kind of related to what you were saying, Steve, it is worth pointing out, just in the interest of fairness, that if you are an existing online or existing 12-month or 6-month Gold subscriber, there is no price change, and if you choose to renew your membership, it will renew. Oh, no, actually, it'll renew at the current price. So I guess that means it renews at the new price. The wording there is a bit weird.
We're all trying to find apologies, and it's not working.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, maybe it isn't. No, it's
okay. The way I read that is, if you are already subscribing to Xbox Live Gold, you can be grandfathered in at the original price of $60 a year. But if you stop your subscription, then to buy back in, it's at the new price of $120 a year. Or 60 for 6 months.
As somebody who is consistently singing the praises of Game Pass and how it's the best value in gaming, and repeatedly I've said this on every YouTube video I've been on where I've talked about Game Pass, I don't understand how the money works. And this makes me really concerned that the money doesn't work for Game Pass, and they're like, we need to find a way to push people into that Game Pass ecosystem because it's not working out. So I'm really, 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 really curious if this is a move. Well, one, it's very clearly a move designed to get people to move over to the more expensive, or now less expensive, option that is Xbox Game Pass, which includes Xbox Live Gold.
This whole thing,
this is not how you do it.
Messed up.
It's not how you do it. It's not the right time to do it. Not that there's ever a great time to hike up prices by 50%. What you do,
100%.
Or by 100%. Yeah, I apologize. If the goal is to get people to move over to your different product, I think the way you do this is, and it's so funny because I'm pulling an example from Microsoft's own playbook, is you let them know that you're sunsetting this thing, that Xbox Live as you know it, Gold is going away. And Game Pass is just now part of Xbox Live. And because of that, because we're giving you access to a library of so many games, it costs more. And, we're sorry we have to do this, but this is how we keep the lights on. And I don't know
that is way better.
Yeah, it's better, right? Other than just like, hey, guess what? 2021's here. Get fucked. Like, I just don't know how you do it otherwise. Like, this is, I tried, man. I thought grandfathering people is great. That's cool. But there's a lot of people, that can't afford to buy a year at a time. Can't afford to stay subbed consistently year after year. I know a lot of friends who make a lot of money and still aren't subbed year to year because they wait for, deals to come out towards Christmas where they'll go, oh, hey, a year of Xbox Live is $30. I'll buy 3 years right now. So I probably know more people that aren't just subbed on an ongoing basis than are. And I imagine this move is designed to put a hurt on those folks so they go to Game Pass so they perceive a greater benefit for their money.
Right.
Yeah.
It sucks.
It's weird too, because it's not as though Microsoft is doing this when they're in a position of power. I mean, they're doing fine. They're doing great with the Xbox Series X. It's sold well, but it's not as though they're on top. I mean, PS5 is killing it, and so is the Switch, obviously. So it's not as though they're doing this from a place where they can say, we are on top of the industry. We are number one. This isn't arrogant Sony, charging $600 for the PS3 because the PS1 and PS2 dominated their generations. Microsoft is not on top right now. So that just makes this even weirder. And Wolf X Blake says something that I was actually kind of thinking too. I never thought I'd say this, but they say, Nintendo's online is looking a lot more appealing now. And I got to say, you know what? Nintendo's online may be average and suck a lot of the time, but at least they price it accordingly. $20 a year is worth it for that and, 100 classic games or however many there are between NES and SNES now.
And I saw something else that a lot of people have been pointing out is the fact that only on Xbox do you have to have gold in order to play free-to-play online games. Like on both PlayStation, on both PlayStation and Switch. If you want to play Fortnite, you don't need to have their online stuff. You want to play Fortnite on Xbox, you need to have that gold pass. And this
just gets worse and worse. Man.
I think the reasoning I think is they're probably banking on end of the year sales. Like they think they're gonna come out swinging at the end of this year. So they're like, all right, let's kind of let's pick up prices now. Let everyone be all boohoo now. But by the time we reveal Halo or the next Bethesda title or whatever, everybody's gonna be clamoring for it. So we'll make up for it. So we'll probably take losses now, but we'll make up for it later. That's my thinking of what it's gonna happen. I don't know, but good work. I don't know. Xbox is just kind of there, and we're waiting for something to happen. Nothing yet has happened.
Yeah.
With
Arkwing says, I guarantee Sony's looking at this price increase and they will probably increase PS Plus in the future if Microsoft commits to this. So, which I said something along those lines earlier, but to just jump off of that, does Sony just do the increase as well, or is this their end to do a Game Pass like service for a bit more and have sort of use Steve's idea to a degree? And all of a sudden, hey, you guys wanted to get all those PS1, PS2, and PS3 games that aren't backwards compatible. Here's a digital service where you can play them or something like that. And it's like an additional, it's $120 a month, a year, same price, but you have access to the entire catalog. Do you do it?
I would do it.
Right. I mean, things could go the way you're saying, Arkwing, for sure. But, cooler heads could possibly prevail over at Sony, and they could realize that this is a moment for them. This is a potential moment where Microsoft has handed them.
Very good at grabbing those moments.
Yeah,
right. Microsoft has handed them a massive opportunity, basically on an Xbox Live golden platter, which is just for them to really stick it to them with this ridiculous 100% price increase.
Yep.
Yeah, I keep thinking, like, Sony very seldom passes up a chance to gut check Microsoft. Like they relish these opportunities. So I could definitely see a tweet coming out next week sometime that just says PSN is still $60. You're welcome. Or something like that. And I just I'm not sure. I feel like, so there's a lot of danger here. One, Microsoft just burned up a lot of goodwill when they didn't have a ton to burn to begin with. Because I feel like looking now that the launch of these consoles is in the rear view, I can safely say that I feel like they were locked in a game of chicken and Microsoft was just hoping Sony would swerve, like that they would delay the PS5 so Microsoft could be like, oh, we're delaying it too. It's fine. Because they Sony didn't launch with a lot. Like we got Miles Morales, we got, Sackboy, we got a few other things, but it wasn't like a packed lineup. But Microsoft launched with nothing. They didn't have a first party game. Yeah. They enhanced some last gen stuff that had been out for a while already, but they didn't have a big first party title to launch with the system. And I think Microsoft was like, hoping, like, please, can we just buy enough time to get Halo Infinite out the door with this thing? Because I think the Xbox Series X is a fine console, but it will not pick up in popularity until some big first party game comes out. And I think that they know that they've been caught with their pants down to a degree. And I just don't know how they find their way out of this now, because I think I subscribe to this theory that you only have so much time at the beginning of a generation to make the case for why people should buy your hardware. And it almost never works out if you don't have that case made within the first month.
The only time it's turned around is Sony with the PS3. They somehow righted that ship. Somehow.
I would argue that that there's a second instance, and that's Nintendo with the original model of the 3DS. When they did the ambassador program and slashed the price by like $70, that's when the 3DS just skyrocketed off. But before that, it was pretty lukewarm.
Yeah.
But yeah, they could turn it around, but I don't know. Like right now, my timeline is full of people talking about PS5s, people trying to get PS5s, Derek trying to get a PS5. I don't see anybody going, damn, I need to find that Series X. Like, where's my Series X? I can't get it. You know, like people just aren't talking about it. People are buying them, sure, but they're not. The fervor doesn't seem to be there around the console yet, and it's because there's really not a ton of games. The other thing that I think could be deadly for Microsoft in this scenario is if Sony does make a Game Pass-like service, Game Pass is doomed. Like, I mean, compare first parties. Like, Sony is no Nintendo, sure, but they absolutely mop the floor with Microsoft when it comes to first party games.
Easily.
Yeah.
And
they would be an RPG lover's dream if they did my idea, and all of a sudden all these classic PS1 and PS2 RPGs were available easily to get as part of some service like that. That would be massive for a lot of people.
Sony has not only the back catalog of their own games, but the inroads with Japanese developers to make a Game Pass-like service that is like nothing that we've seen before. Like, I would say Nintendo could do it, but Nintendo's never gonna. So if Sony does it, I am there day one. I'll give you my $120 all up front. I don't care.
Yeah, you know, and the cherry on top of all of this is the fact that their big first party exclusive that is supposed to be the big heavy hitter, Halo Infinite. The last time it was shown off, it just disappointed most people, and it just got delayed again. And of course, you know, delay it however long you need to get it right. But it's not as though they can point to Halo Infinite and say, "Hey, but Halo Infinite, guys, you know, you got to have that," because it's not even making people happy right now. What they've seen.
Yep.
It's just this is a wild decision that the optics here are so bad for Microsoft, and they, I think it was you, Steve, you said they don't have a whole lot of goodwill to burn to begin with right now. So I don't get the thinking behind this, other than trying to force people into Ultimate. But this isn't how you do it.
Nope.
But well, we've belabored the point enough, I think. So let's go ahead and move into our last news story of the day, which unfortunately isn't much happier. So yeah, and that is that Vicarious Visions, the developer behind the recent remakes of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, as well as the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy, has been merged into Blizzard, and that the statement apparently is that Vicarious Visions will be quote unquote fully dedicated to Blizzard titles going forward. And this sounds like bad news all around. I hate to see that they've been fully absorbed into Blizzard and aren't going to be able to continue doing their own thing.
This feels like congratulations, you're fired.
Yeah, whoever made this decision at Activision is an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, what is happening at Blizzard that they need this much help? Like, there is some massive problems going on over there. Because I saw somebody pointed out, it's like, oh yeah, it makes total sense to take the company that made one of the best remakes of last year and merge them into the company that made one of the worst remakes of last year.
And as Nibel puts it on Twitter, they successfully revived the Crash Bandicoot IP themselves. They revived Crash Bandicoot, and they made that amazing remake with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. And then this happens to them? That's just bullshit, man.
Yeah, this is why people don't like it when large companies scoop up smaller ones, because we're afraid of exactly this happening. Like that company having their autonomy for a little while, doing some truly great work, and then just disappearing. And I get that these, you know, the silver lining of this story is that those folks aren't losing their jobs. You know, they're being forced to work on crap, but they're not losing their jobs. And that is an important distinction to make, because all too often we see these studios get dissolved entirely and a bunch of talented people are left looking for work. So I'm at least happy that the people behind Vicarious Visions can still provide for their families, can still put food on the table, but I hate that they are being creatively drained in this way.
Yeah. Although, I guess one possible silver lining, Javier Fuentes says, so what you're telling me is Tony Hawk will be a guest character in Overwatch. You know, I'd pay to see that. I'd pay to see that. Fair enough.
I want
That's like
Crash
the one
Bandicoot in
possible
Overwatch,
thing that could
are you
ever
kidding?
happen that would be okay with any of this. But
It'll
yeah,
be
it's
an
just
interesting-
Well, first, I want to get Broly's thoughts on this before I go into my diatribe.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very sad to see. I mean, honestly, I'm a big fan of the Tony Hawk Pro Skater stuff. So for that to be remade, and obviously Crash, like you guys said, Crash got pretty much resurrected with the Insane trilogy. Now 4 came out, so and a lot of credits to the studio that made that happen. For them to go to Blizzard, it's just, you know, it's just a head scratcher, and it's very sad to see, just because we want these great titles. You know, I know, you know, we're in kind of like an era of remakes and remasters, and people all want to hit their nostalgia buttons and want to see things that they saw when they were kids brought back to life in the new stuff. Now it's like, well, who else do we turn to now for these kind of things, you know? And even if that were to happen, what stops another big corporation from taking them? So yeah, it's really sad to see. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll get skateboards in, you know, in Azeroth, maybe? Maybe we'll have Tony Hawk as a Lucio skin in Overwatch. I mean, I don't really know. It's not fun. I mean, I don't see what they could be working on, unless, you know, Activision says, hey, let's do Tony Hawk again or something. I don't know. It's very sad to see. I know I saw a lot of people get angry about this, as I was, because, you know, they were making great games. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't look good, obviously, because, you know, Blizzard's a big bad company, so we don't, you know, really like their decisions. But as Steve said, you know, it's really great that at least their workers are going to be still working, and nothing really changes that. So I guess that's good for them, and yay for worker, you know, compensation. But yeah, it's really sad for us gamers, for sure.
Yeah.
So I was looking at their wiki page just to get an idea of just what they worked on, because here's the thing with Vicarious Visions, in a strange sense, is that they're not really known for original games. They have a lot of ports and handheld titles, like of the, you know, those versions, and, you know, just licensed crap under their belt. Like the DS version of B movie game Kung Fu Panda. They did, you know, they got some good stuff. They did Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 on the PS3 and Xbox 360. That's good stuff. They made, you know, Guitar Hero on iOS, and also Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock on the Wii. They did the 3DS version, iOS versions of a couple Skylanders before getting the main versions with Swap Force. Like, and they've done Game Boy Advance stuff. They're the ones that did the Crash Bandicoot games on Game Boy Advance, Huge Adventure and Entranced. Like, they are a weird company with a bunch of weird ports. Like they ported Jet Set Radio on the Game Boy Advance. They did Ultimate Spider-Man for the Game Boy Advance and DS. They did a bunch of course, those Tony Hawk games on those portables and stuff like that. They are all over the place. But I think what hurts about this one is it felt like they were like with Crash, the Insane trilogy, and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, they found their groove. They found their niche, where they took these classic games, gave them a fresh coat of paint, and maintained what made them work so well. Because honestly, it's really impressive that these guys were able to go from GBA development and the iOS development to one of the Insane trilogy. Looks freaking gorgeous. And it's kind of insane in that way. Like their first really big game on PS4 was the Skylanders games. and then they helped as a support team for Bungie on Destiny 2 on Windows. But I don't know. It's such a weird thing because they obviously have talent. They're just sort of always taking where the wind blows. And this time Activision was like, we're going to have you help out Blizzard instead, because apparently they're struggling right now. So good luck.
Yeah, and not that I disagree with anything you said there, Derek, but did I just hear you call, and during all that, Kung Fu Panda a B movie?
No.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I didn't mishear you. Okay.
The B movie, comma, Kung Fu Panda. Kung Fu Panda is amazing.
Gotcha. Okay.
B movie,
that was the one thing I pulled out. I was like, wait a minute. Okay. Gotcha.
Embrace the meme.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think we've all pretty much covered it here. This is just thankfully people have kept their jobs, but it sucks creatively, both for Vicarious Visions and for those of us who enjoy their good output. Clearly it's been very inconsistent, but they've also done some amazing things. So it's a shame they're getting kind of swept up into the Blizzard cesspool, but such as it is, right? But with that, we have reached the end of the day and the week's gaming news. But before we head out, Broly, would you please tell our wonderful audience where they can find you online, man?
Oh yeah, I'm usually on Twitter, on YouTube, on Twitch, on /Brolylegs. Usually streaming games, like retro games nowadays. Other than Street Fighter,
Nice.
Grandia. I've been working on Grandia. I've never played the game.
Oh, hell yeah.
Series, and so it's been really cool, really fun. Been doing a lot of that. I also do training for Street Fighter and Smash. GameSense.com /Brolylegs is also another one that you can find me on. And yeah, just it was a pleasure being here. I'm big fans. Like I said, I was big fans of y'all for years. Me and my brother, shout out to Sebastian as well. We're big fans since 2015, 14. So it was great. Wow. An honor to be on here, to be honest.
Oh, well, it's been an honor to have you here. We are also big fans of yours. So keep on doing what you do so well, and would love to have you back anytime, man.
For sure.
Real quick, yes. I know we're getting ready to do that, but apparently our newsroom in our Discord actually has an update to this story coming from Jason Schreier an hour ago. So, he said Blizzard said today that it's absorbing Vicarious Visions. What it didn't say is that Vicarious Visions has been working on a Diablo 2 remake, and Team 1, Blizzard's classic team, was quietly dismantled last fall, basically after Warcraft 3 Reforged. He said Blizzard's Team 1 was responsible for StarCraft 2, Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft Remastered, and Warcraft 3 Reforged, which was a product of surprise, unrealistic deadlines created by financial pressures. Its next project was going to be the Diablo 2 remake. Last year, Blizzard pulled the D2 remake from Team 1 and gave it to Team 3, the Diablo 4 team, which is now overseeing and working with Vicarious Visions on the project. One quick bit of clarification, Team 1 and Classic Team used to be separate entities, but when the Classic Team took over support of StarCraft 2 and Heroes of the Storm around 2018, they became known as Team 1. So people lost their jobs over this, or were, I guess, I don't know if they lost their jobs or just moved in other places, but basically Warcraft 3 was so screwed up, they put Vicarious Visions on task. So cleaning up Blizzard's mess. Remember when people liked Blizzard?
I mean, it's kind of, as DanPal65 says in our Discord here, it kind of makes the whole situation worse. They've basically been absorbed due to poor management elsewhere. That pretty much puts a fine point on it, I think. You guys have any last minute things you want to say about this development before we head out?
I mean, they basically said, we suck at remaking. Hey, you guys are good at remaking. Come join us. And that's pretty much what it is. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I still have fun, playing their games, and I hope for the best. Obviously, it's not, we look at it as a narrative of, that this great company that's up and coming is starting to find its groove, is now being bought by a big company, and so it kind of, mellows them out a bit. But at the same time, maybe they could do some good. Obviously, it'll have the Blizzard title and not Vicarious Visions title, but at least we now know, hey, if some things are coming out good, it's because of these guys that actually know what they're doing when it comes to bringing things back to life. So hopefully it's something. But yeah, I
And
understand the sentiment.
I do have to
It does
say,
give hope for Diablo 2.
yeah, I was gonna say I love Diablo 2. So a
it's a
good
classic,
remake of
yeah.
that, like, you know, if Vicarious Visions can do Diablo 2 the way they've done their previous remakes, I am all in for this. I spent hundreds of hours playing Diablo 2 as a kid with my dad, so I would love to be able to gift him a code for this and play it with him and relive that, because it was that is a big piece of my childhood that I would love to see with a fresh coat of paint.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I mean, I got into Diablo 2 literally only because I needed something to help like stem the or help me get through the wait for Chrono Cross that year, because I was like counting down the days to Chrono Cross, and I had already played everything else on console that I wanted to, and I needed something to pass the time. I was like, well, Diablo 2, I played it a bit with friends. It's pretty fun, and then I got super sucked into it. It's a fantastic game.
Yep.
So I would love to see that remade faithfully and in a way that you know, draws people or fans of the original back in.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, it's about time for us to sign off here. But as always, we have to give a huge shout out to all of our patrons at the producer tier for helping to make this show happen, because without you, it wouldn't. And as always, you will see your names in the credits of the episode. You'll see it scroll by. But in addition, a massive, massive thank you to our patrons at the executive producer tier and above. And those fine folks, here we go with this list. Those wonderful people are Rob Arman X, Dan Entwistle, Z Patty, Adam O'Sullivan, Floating Mew, Christopher, The D-Pad, Vesmio, Waffle King, Kieran Phillips, Benny Yao, Rosa Bowling,
Hi, Mom.
Geller, Shiny Turkey, Titus Malvolio, Jake Pelka, Michael Phone, Mitchell Herring, Game Explain, Charles Zaz, Andrew Medeiros, Jonathan Belmare, Kitty Kong Facts, Patrick Harrison, Scott Barber, Evernight Studio, Rocks the Cat, Loyal Dingo, Azran127, Phantom 23, Sean Garrett, Shadow the Cat, Guillaume Monet, Kai Ed, Kit Fisto, Aurum M, Top Dog 23100, West Egg, Master Lynx, Sean Davis, Deaneth, Kota, Lucky Wonderfish, Brandon Bovia, Octopuppet, Charlie Bird, Matthew Wong, Ashish Joshi, Michael McCaw, Eric Flapjack Ashley, Jackson Jordan, Sky Blue Flames, Young Ben Kenobi, Hyrule Hermit, Goron Amber, Straight Lace, Hugo J8A, Seth Walker, Dway, Macalau, Kin Roulette 09, Hubi, Marcos Conchas, Wolf X Blake and Moon Macarons, Demon Kid Zaraki, Spencer Katie, Leanne Mustafa, Brooke, and Frequent Positron. Oh my God, that's so many names to read.
At some point, do this many on Monday, this many on Wednesday, this many on Friday.
Hey, you know what? I don't even mind. I don't mind reading it out in full every time, because we would not be here without every single one of you. So I'm happy to do it. And really, thank you all so much. And remember, you too can become a patron over at patreon.com/gbgaming, where you can watch, you can join the live audience tier for $5 a month and interact with us and our guests, like our live audience has been today. But also, you can support us for as little as $1 a month to get into our Discord server. And for, I believe, only 9 more days, you can get the exclusive founder role given to those who supported us in our first 3 months. Is it 9 more days, Steve?
Yes, that is correct. On February 1st, that role is being retired forever.
Right. So if you'd like to support us even for $1 a month and get into our Discord, you will get that exclusive founder role, but only for 9 more days. So just letting you know that. But either way, whether you support us financially or not, even if you just drop a like and a subscribe on our channel, we love you all the same, because we could not do what we're doing without your support. So as always, thank you all so much, and be sure to subscribe to Good Vibes Gaming for more good times like these, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.